This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports. You're listening to TGI Sports Talk with your host Keith Angle on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good morning, everybody. Keith Angle, TGI Sports Talks. Are you serious? We head into a big weekend of sports. It's been a great month, I think, of sports with the NFL and baseball wrapping up, college football coming to a head. We'll talk about college football championship weekend, USC, what happens if they lose, the 12-team playoff, maybe we'll talk about for a little bit. We'll talk some NFL. Yankees offer to judge. It's going to get turned down. And we'll get a World Cup update from the Mad New Yorker as well. We'll join us. Welcome everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Everybody will see us on Roku later today and a few times repeated next week. Before I get started, I want to give out a shout to rest in peace to Gaylord Perry, one of the great pitchers, one of the great characters in Major League Baseball history. Hall of Famer, 300-game winner. You can say what you want about Gaylord Perry and, look at, some say he cheated his way to Hall of Fame. There's a difference between gamesmanship and cheating. I understand, the spitball is outlawed. Half the time he wasn't using it. He was just psyching guys out. And I could argue that during a 6-year period, Gaylord Perry is one of the most dominant pitchers in baseball. Late 60s, early 70s on some bad teams. Other than the 71 Giants, he was on some bad teams. Great pitcher. And so rest in peace, Gaylord Perry. What a character. You'll be missed. I hated playing against him. He actually played for the Yankees for a short time. Was not very good, by the way. He was about 100 years old by then. Anyway, we'll get into some of the topics I talked about with the Mad New Yorker who joins us now. Good morning, Carlos.
Morning, everybody. Happy Friday.
Good to have you with us this morning, as always.
Yep. Rest in peace, Gaylord Perry.
Yeah, he was certainly a character. Baseball is losing some of the great characters. That's one of the things that's lacking in baseball today. It's not one of our topics, but there aren't characters like Gaylord Perry around anymore. It's a shame.
I think they are. They're just not. Baseball is one of those sports where the team, it's more team oriented as far as the media plays it out than individual. And then the individuals that you have that are, considered the all-stars in the league, they have character and they have a lot of individuality, but they're not as far out there as some of these guys that you've seen in the past.
I mean, I like to see some of these colorful guys,
Yeah.
even the guys I love, Derek Jeter and Aaron Judge, they're not out there giving a lot of sound bites, So.
Pretty quiet, stay to themselves. So you get a mix of all kinds of characters in the clubhouse, but the guys that are usually the face of the franchise usually are not always the colorful ones.
Good point. But anyway, we're losing a whole generation of these guys, and it's getting.
Yeah, no, you know what? Baseball is it was a different game too.
Yeah.
Right now it's more about analytics. It's more about strength. It's more about conditioning. It's more about contracts. Back then those people, guys played and had a beer in the clubhouse. You can't do that anymore.
I think for me, it's more about my youth slipping away. I'm 62 years old, and all these guys I grew up watching are now, every week there's somebody that's passing away, it seems. So for me, it's a little, it's kind of sad, and I'm losing part of my youth, which is long gone, by the way.
I mean, every fan goes through that, in every sport too. So it is kind of, as we get older, it is kind of it's weird. But you know what? It's a reawakening of us and realizing what we were able to see, what we were able to like partake in, and also figuring out what we expect to see from some of these athletes, as we watch different sports, So
this is an interesting topic. I want to take it just a step further because you brought up a good point. I talk about the way I miss the guys who were playing during the generation I was growing up. When I was coming of age at 9, 10, 11, 12, through my formative years. We didn't get to see them every day. We didn't have Sports Center, right? So there was more like a mystery about a lot of these guys, like Gaylord Perry. Guys, I didn't see Gaylord Perry play, but maybe in an all-star game and, a couple times against the Yankees a year. Maybe, because we only got about 20 Yankee games a year up here at that time. And today, people get to see their favorite players pretty much daily if they want to. So I wonder if it'll be the same, when that generation of stars starts to wane. So it'll be interesting to see. So I don't know, just something that's this is me waxing poetically today.
No, I mean, it's just the oversaturation of content, but content is key if you're trying to make money in today's media.
Oh, for sure. The world's just different. I mean, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, right? Again, it was so different for me. If I could get a radio game, I'd listen to the Pirates and Cardinals if I can get a signal on my transistor radio when I went to bed. I wasn't supposed to be listened to. It'd be under my pillow.
No, I mean, right now, the way the contracts are with MLB and blackout games, I still kind of have to reach out to my radio and get some of these games in New York. So it's crazy.
With the Apples and the Amazons and people getting involved. I mean,
I'm just talking about the regular baseball season as well.
Yeah. No, well, Apple, has stolen away a bunch of games on Friday nights. So, there are times that fans have trouble finding their teams. Even if they have access to this stuff, they don't know where they're playing.
Yeah, I heard there was a contention in New York that are upset because WPIX 11, the local channel, carried Mets games, and then they also the other affiliated local channel was carrying Yankee games, but somehow or another, the games that were promised kind of went towards the Apple and MLB packages. Yeah. They were kind of upset that they didn't get the full calendar like they used to get. But
it was usually Friday night games that they'd often get, right? So it's a good point. No, topic for another day, I guess. But we'll certainly probably talk about that at some point, as TV contracts are very prominent.
I mean, talking about TV contracts, look, this USC game in Utah is going to be played in Las Vegas. I'm not sure if I like that, but
Well, you know what? In college football, one of the things, again, that I hate is the fact that they've moved away from, when you get to big games, even during the regular season, Carlos, they don't play big games in their home stadium.
Yeah.
Then we'll go play at, Jerry Jones Memorial Stadium or whatever they call that thing these days. So I just don't, and all these league championships games aren't played. Even I don't have a problem them being played at a neutral site, but really Las Vegas, good grief.
At least it's easier to find a flight to get to Vegas. At least it's not, it's not in East Washington.
I'm sure USC fans will have no trouble getting out there, but Utah fans can probably drive. I don't know, probably not that far.
I think that game is going to be. Hopefully they get a good crowd, because that's a big stadium, first of all. And
I think there will be a sellout crowd there. You don't think so?
I hope so. Is all I'm saying. Just so that these kids can get a big show on. I just feel, USC doesn't fare well when they do neutral site games. They're like 1-11 against the.
Maybe it won't be full of Utah and USC fans, but the casinos will be comping the high rollers with game tickets to this game. You don't think they'd do that with the Raider tickets and everything else? Guaranteed, a lot of those tickets are paid for by the casinos.
Yeah. No, I would go to this game. I'm not a fan of either of these teams, but
it's going to be. There's a lot of good games this weekend, and talking about USC Utah, it's an interesting rematch. USC, I think, needs to win. They may be the only one of the top three that needs to win to get in, but they still have an argument to make it if they lose, except for the fact that they lost to Utah twice.
Right. And Keith, here's a problem. Their problem is defense. They rank so low nationally.
It's awful.
Even though they're a highly ranked team, and they got a Heisman quarterback type of player in Caleb Williams. I don't know, man. I just don't feel like this game is going to go their way. And Utah's a little bit older. They always have a couple older guys on their roster, but I feel like they want to be known also as more than just a number 12 team this year, especially what happened last year. So I think USC needs to watch out, and they better play some defense.
I think they played better against Notre Dame, but Notre Dame doesn't have a scintillating offense either.
Right. So I think this one is going to be again a close one, and USC. I think they better not go into any trepidation, or they're going. Yeah, you're right. I saw that too. The FPI said that they played that game 2,000 times, and Utah comes out.
Fortunately for USC, they're playing it on a football field, not
I know, but I mean, I was looking at this, and I mean, USC is favored by 2.5. So,
that may be a hard wager for me. I love USC. I really think I'm surprised at what they've done here in year one with Lincoln Riley. They're an exciting team. The defense, as you said, is lacking. My worry again, I think the other three teams can lose and they'll still get in. I think the committee putting Ohio State at 5 was a message to USC. If you lose, you're out. We're putting we're putting Ohio State in.
Let me say, look, all I can say is that this is not one to go in and sit out your best players. So,
no.
And if you're looking for a bowl game, this is a game that you need to play hard, and don't worry about any kind of bowl games and any kind of standings.
There are lots of good matchups this weekend. Alan, good morning, and good morning to Kenny. Sorry, I didn't say good morning.
Morning, Kenny. Morning, Alan.
This is again. If there were a 12-team playoff, we wouldn't have to worry about any of this. Right?
Hey, you got it. And you got it.
Yeah, we got it. I'm a little surprised. I'm not surprised. I've been rooting for
Bob's getting excited though. His 16's coming soon.
I don't know. I don't know if it will come to that, but I wish there were 16 only because I don't like the buys. To be honest with you, I want everybody to play.
Right.
I want everybody to play. And getting a bye just feels a little. Listen, and we had a conversation last week, 2 weeks ago, on the college football huddle. Not sure if you were there. John DeLong I got into it about the expansion of the playoff and how it was just a a participation trophy. Listen, nobody hates participation trophy mentality in this country more than me. I don't agree with that sentiment at all. All of these teams are worthy to play for a championship. They're not giving them a trophy just for showing up. You don't get the trophy till you win it all.
Yeah, one of the biggest problems is that the sport right now and in college is like week to week. Very rare. Some of these kids have a schedule where they play on the Thursday and Friday, but the whole week to week and trying to figure that out and make it fair for everybody. That's one of the biggest challenges, I think. So.
Yeah, we got that, Alan. I agree.
I can't mention the 16 teams without mentioning Basement Bob. So
yeah, well, we had to get Basement Bob in there because if I don't, I get sued again. So I got to get his name in there for crying out loud. I hope his mom is still taking care of him, cooking his meals for him, and do his laundry. So good grief. But what other games? I mean, this USC game, and that's 8:00, right? Friday night, actually. It's tonight. Tonight. I forgot about that. That kicks off the weekend nicely. I think there's another game. I don't think it's a championship game that's being played tonight. Let's just take a look at these college football matchups.
Well, first of all, I'll give you who you got for this game. First of all,
you know what? Against my better judgment, I'm going to take USC to win this game.
I knew you were going to go that way.
It's hard to beat a team twice in 1 year. It really is. And Utah's good. But I don't think they got a chance.
Yeah, I think that Utah wins, and it's going to be like 42-30 something.
USC gave them a good game at home. Utah's a tough place to play too, and USC played well that night. The defense again, not
that neutral field though.
That's why I give USC the edge here. Yeah.
I think the other way. I think that neutral field helps Utah more than anything else.
Let's look at all FBS because
you don't have to worry about weather. You don't have to worry about anything. You know.
Yeah. So that kicks off the weekend, 8:00 tonight on Fox. I'm sure I got to listen to Gus Johnson scream and yell for 4 hours tonight. Good grief, man! Just be quiet for a second. Tomorrow,
LSU and Georgia.
Well, we kick off. Let's go kind of chronologically here. We kick off with the Big 12 championship game, Kansas State against TCU. That's at Jerry Jones Memorial Stadium, I believe, AT&T Stadium. Sorry for those who don't like me mocking Jerry Jones. Another rematch. Kansas State got beat by TCU during this game. TCU's been walking a tightrope until last week where they really blew the doors off of Iowa State. TCU's walked that tightrope all year. Again, tough to beat a team twice in 1 year. I'm going to get off the TCU is going to lose this weekend bandwagon. I think they win this game.
Yeah, I think with you, you're gonna wait. You want Texas Christian to win this game?
I am picking them to win this game. I didn't say I want them to win. I said I picked them to win this game.
And look, I mean, I've been watching the last 3 games of TCU, and they look so fast, man, and they're athletic, and which kind of compromises them on the defense too.
Well,
anyway.
true. They played good defense last week, but Iowa State's been on a down year this year, so
they just look so much.
Kansas State's been up and down this year too, so if they come out with their best effort, they could give TCU a good run in this game, but they could also get beat badly.
Yeah, man. What does Kansas State struggle with, really?
I would say throwing the football would be my biggest thing. Deuce Vaughn's a great player, but I think
been doing better lately than the other teams on defense.
Who's that?
TCU.
TCU stopping the pass. Yeah. So it's gonna be. I like TCU.
Yeah.
Now, if I want,
that's gonna be a close one. What? Right?
Yeah, I think it will be. If I want to keep with my chaos theory, so that this gets even worse, and we have.
Could you imagine the number 12 and number 13 teams busting up the dreams of the top rated teams?
I should root for LSU, Kansas State, Utah, and Purdue to pull major upsets this week, so that the committee has to make some tough decisions. Then
I would love that. I don't like any of these teams, and I'll be okay with that.
Then they do something stupid like put Alabama in the Final Four. That'd be awesome. I mean, I'd hate it, but I think it'd be awesome for the chaos I want.
That is crazy. I just saw that at the championship. I was like, wait a minute.
We'll touch on this one quickly because it is a championship game. The MAC championship is Toledo against Ohio. I'm picking Toledo in an upset here because I don't know. There's something about Toledo in big games. This is being played at Ford Field in Michigan. I'm going to take Toledo here. I haven't followed the MAC closely this year, I'll admit. But I'm gonna take Toledo here.
That's a safe pick.
You want to make a pick?
I'll go with Toledo too.
The Sun Belt at 3:30 on ESPN. Coastal Carolina. Everybody's Cinderella. I guess the last few years they've done a great job there. They're without their great quarterback McCall. I believe he's going to be out for the rest of the year. They'll play Troy. At Veterans Memorial Stadium. It's basically a home game for Troy. Being there at home, I'm going to have to pick Troy here in this game. And with McCall out, I'm going to take Troy.
Ooh. You don't think the team will rally and play better? I mean, that's a team full of seniors on that Coastal Carolina.
I agree. Troy's tough at home. They're 7-1 in the Sun Belt. They won the Sun Belt over Coastal Carolina. So I like this team a lot. They play the big boys tough sometimes too. Yeah.
They play tough out of conference games for. I don't know, man. I'm gonna stick with Coastal Carolina just because the coach also he might be leaving. So.
Yeah, he will. He may be a guy who waits around for, a Power 5 job. We'll see where he goes. Maybe he'll go to I don't see this guy going out to Colorado, for instance, right? Anymore, and I see Dion going out there. And the Southeastern jobs are filling up pretty quickly. So let's move on to and we'll get to your guys' comments in a second. 4:00, the SEC championship game. The 9-3 LSU Tigers, who are probably one of the worst teams ever. Listen, I don't want to take anything away from Brian Kelly in his first year. This team's
he did a really good job, actually.
Better than what was expected, but
his accent should be better by now too.
This might be one of the worst teams to get in the SEC championship game. Is my point against a Georgia team who, while not as good as last year, is still 12-1 or 12-0 and ranked number 1 here. I don't think LSU's got any shot to win this game. I want them to win because I want an SEC champion not to get into the playoff, which I think would be interesting as well. First time that would have ever happened.
I'll pick Georgia too, but I feel like LSU can make it a game. And if they don't make it a game in the second half, then there's no way. Because they usually play the first half pretty close to the other team. So.
And a non-power conference game that is important because it will decide the New Year's Day 6 participant for the group of 5 conferences. UCF and Tulane playing a rematch in New Orleans, basically a home game here for Tulane at Ullman Stadium. I think Tulane's going to get revenge for this 38-31 loss a few weeks ago and win this game and get the Cotton Bowl berth. And who knows? Maybe they'll play somebody like Tennessee, and we'll get to see how good Tulane really is.
Yeah, I think Central Florida's in trouble. They're Tulane's going to be playing some good defense. So we hope to see Tulane play some good defense. So.
Also at 4:00, the Mountain West, another really good matchup. We don't hear a lot about the Mountain West, but there's some good football being played in the Mountain West. Boise State rebounding a little bit, 8-0 in conference, 9-3 overall, plays Fresno State. This game will be at home in Boise on the blue field. Gotta like Boise on the blue field.
Yeah, but don't count Fresno State out because they got a good air assault there, and so
they always score points in this league.
They'll make it a match. But I think Boise State at home, they're always consistent in their league. So Boise State, but Fresno State's going to give them a match.
Purdue in the Big Ten championship game at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis.
Yeah,
Purdue plays Michigan. Purdue's been very up and down this year. They'll beat somebody you don't expect them to beat, and then they lose to Syracuse. So I like Michigan. And I do think Michigan's probably going to roll here.
Yeah, I think it'd be like 40-27 or something like that.
Yeah. The over could be a good bet here.
Yeah.
52.
Yeah.
And then Clemson, who, by the way, Clemson has got – I think Clemson gets beat by North Carolina in this ACC championship game because Clemson season ended and it came crashing down. They ended up with a golden opportunity to have a chance to get themselves into the Final Four with the USC loss. They would have been number 5 this week, I believe, if they'd won last week.
Yeah, and then I don't know what Sweeney was thinking on this game last week, but
I think the kids just weren't ready to play. They got to move on from DJ, and I think he's a senior anyway, so the kid needs to get a chance to play. And you might see him in this game a little bit too. But Drake May,
that team has so much potential.
I love that kid. He was in the Heisman race until just the last couple of weeks. He's faded a little bit, but what a great rookie or freshman season here.
I think that Sweeney keeps these guys up. Want to make sure that they stay in the top 10. I think they'll give UNC a headache of a game. So
you're probably going to see a lot of points scored in this game as well.
Yeah, I see Clemson coming through because they want to prove that they are ranked nationally team.
Fair enough. Plus, they have a New Year's Day bowl game on the line, I'm sure, here with the winner.
If there's a lot of chaos, maybe they'll drop down to 7.
Let's get to some comments here. I've been let's see, 12 team. Kenny, we already got that. Keith, nowadays all you do is just show up and you get a trophy. Well, not necessarily.
Only in the ACC.
Who's getting a trophy? Nobody's getting a trophy till they win a game. I mean, if you're talking about and Kenny, if you're just talking about sports and what we do with kids, youth sports, which I hate the participation trophy syndrome in this country. If that's what you're talking about, you're absolutely right. If you're talking about in the context of what I was talking about with expanding the playoff, I don't think that's just giving somebody a participation trophy. These teams don't have a team. Most of these teams we're talking about don't have a chance to participate against each other during the regular season. So, I don't have a problem with that. I think Kenny's talking more about the former that I talked about. Biggest upset is Purdue over Michigan. Whoa, that would be a huge upset.
That'd be a huge upset, but I wouldn't put my money on that.
I wouldn't either, but Michigan still will be in. Any question about that the top 3 teams are in, win or lose this weekend? I don't think there is. I think the only team with a worry is USC.
Yeah, I think that Utah might head over.
Allen predicting USC 42-27 over Utah. He's got a bunch of scores for us here. TCU 35-31 over Kansas State. That's a realistic possibility. I like that score there. I think it might be a little higher scoring in that Toledo game. CCU 24. Oh, he got me backwards here. Troy 30. That's going to be a better football game than you think. There's some good football being played in Conference USA, in the Sun Belt Conference. There's some good football being played there, and people just won't watch it because all they want to watch is the SEC and the Big Ten.
Another thing too is that the way that some of these TV rights go, it's hard to get them.
Georgia 17-3 over LSU. It could be a low-scoring battle. LSU, I think, will give them a game for a little while, and Georgia will take over in the second half. Tulane 31-27.
Probably right.
The line in that game, because I want to bet Tulane, by the way.
2.5.
2.5? Awesome. That'll be a win. I'll settle for that score. Boise State 42-28.
Ooh. I think it'll be a little bit closer than that, but I think,
I think there'll be a lot of points scored there. That could be a last possession type game. Purdue 31, Michigan 33, also calling for a close game there. Michigan.
You're not giving Michigan's defense any credit at all?
Man, did they watch them play the second half of that football game?
Man.
It looked pretty good. Carolina 21-20. I think it'll be higher scoring than that. I really do. I think that game likely going to be in the 40s, I think. Neither one of these teams is playing great. Well, Clemson plays better defense than Carolina, but Carolina's on par with USC when it comes to defense. And they lost to some bad teams this year. So, what else would we want to talk about? USC. Any thoughts on Heisman before we move on from college football? I'd say, and I said Wednesday night, I think Caleb Williams won this trophy last Saturday night against Notre Dame. That 80-yard run that was just amazing, I think, was probably the feather in the cap.
Right. I'm gonna wait for these championship games, because that's the last bit that they get. These kids.
I think your boy Dugan's going to finish second. I really do.
We'll see.
I think you will.
But yeah, I'm waiting for this last championship game, and then and then I'll call it before these bowl games, because the bowl games don't count at that point.
Let's pivot to the NFL. We'll stay on football. We'll pivot to the NFL. I mean, this has been.
I got to ask you a question, Keith.
Yeah,
I did the post game yesterday. So,
was there a game last night?
Yeah, I don't know. Did you watch anything last night?
Unfortunately, I watched every agonizing segment.
So with Tanner from the what show is he on? He's got
Sports Buffoons.
The Buffoons, yeah, the Sports Buffoons.
Great show, by the way, Tanner. Good job.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Tanner. You just got way too many shows. That's all right, because you're helping out Dan, and that's cool. That's real good of you. So, Sports Buffoons Tanner asked me to ask you if you think. Right now, listen to this.
What's he afraid to ask me himself? Come on, Tanner.
Oh well, he's not on it. He's got a huge schedule today. If you think it's time to replace Mac with Zappy, and if you think that Mac Jones's time is over with the Patriots,
I do not think his time is over with the Patriots. I'm not sold anymore on he's the future. I got to see something better now. What I don't know, because he played so well as a rookie last year, and he's making mistakes this year that he did not make as a rookie, and he's also not rebounding from them as well. You saw he had a little blowout on the bench last night.
Frustration.
Not happy with the play calling. They didn't throw the ball down the field enough for him. Well, they don't protect him well enough to get the ball down the field, number one. That's why the plays are being called the way they are. They need a spark, and I'm not one to usually look for quarterback controversies. They still look good. They're 6-6, looked awful last night. They're not on a playoff hunt because I still think 9 wins gets in the AFC. And they got 3 winnable games. They've got Buffalo again and Miami, which may not be winnable, but they've got Arizona, they got the Raiders, and they got Cincinnati at home. They got the Raiders and the Cardinals on the road. I might make a switch to Bailey Zappi and see if I can get a spark. This upcoming week might be the time to do it. Who they got?
So my thing is this, all right. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago.
Tell him to send me an invite. I'll talk to him about this personally.
if you switch over to Mac, if you switch Mac to Zappy, right? Jones to Zappy.
Yeah.
If you do this, you're not helping the kid at all with his mentality as far as
I don't disagree at all. You can't go back. If you make a switch now, Zappy's got to be the quarterback for the rest of the year, and you tell Mac, let's get healthy, let's learn the playbook better, and whatever.
Right.
And then we're going to have a quarterback competition next year.
No, not at all. Because what you're doing, and to me, this is what I feel like has happened. What you're doing as a coaching staff is saying that you two aren't good enough anyways, because I started you, I benched you, I started you, right? So you two shouldn't even be on my roster next year.
I don't agree.
That's how I would do it if I was a GM.
That part I don't agree with. I mean,
at the end of the day, you have two guys that are not up to par and that are basically the same player. If you think about it.
I think they're a little bit different. Zappy's got a little bit more mobility, I think, than Mac, and I don't know.
Yeah, listen, I mean, they might have one or two traits that are not similar, but
I got to give Mac a pass, though, because first of all, he's been injured. He hasn't been 100% healthy. He's been trying to learn a new system this year, and the coaches have not put him in a great position to succeed like Josh McDaniel did last year. He did a great job putting him in a position to succeed. He had a really good rookie season, except for a couple of games. And it's just things have gotten out of control, and it's not all him. He doesn't have any weapons to throw to.
No.
I'm not writing him off and just saying neither one of you guys can be the quarterback next year. I want to find out maybe what I got in Zappy now, though.
I agree with you with a lot of what you're saying, but again, you have to look at the big picture of the whole thing, and it's the fact that their coaching staff are not using these guys to the full extent of their athleticism and potential that they have. That's the first.
Don't believe that.
Because of the fact that they don't have a team that can protect him to throw the ball or a running game that will help him.
The running game's been good. Stevenson's played very well.
It's okay. It's just been getting better. So their
last night it wasn't good.
Yeah, their growth as QBs is dependent on what Belichick's been able to do with the team, and it's not been a good look for any of those guys in the coaching staff at all. So again, if you want a quarterback to help you win games, you got to pretty much bring in a guy who can get you 3 or 4 games.
How about we bring in a quarterback coach to help the guy grow? How about we not rely on a defensive guru and a special teams coach to coach the quarterback in the offense? How about that?
Well, it's all dependent on what the GM wants to do at the end of the day anyway. And listen, I mean, the talks about Brady coming back. Alan,
he's not coming back.
If anybody goes back, and I mentioned this last night, if anybody comes back to the Patriots, it'd probably be Garoppolo.
That's entirely possible, I suppose. They're not going to play any better with Garoppolo than they play with Mac Jones. If this team is constituted the way it is today with that offensive line and those weapons,
right?
You'll fail here as well.
Right, definitely. And that's the problem. And that's why I'm saying it's easier to pick Zappy or Mac Jones as your backup and keep him on the bench and then get a starting quarterback. But then again, you don't have a team. You don't have a winning team in essence. You have
it's amazing to me how this Brady story gets legs. One freaking blogger in New England makes a comment. Don't be surprised if. First of all, I don't think Brady wants to come back. He's not coming back to this team he can't do any better here than he's doing in Tampa Bay. And what people seem to forget is Belichick wanted him out before he traded Garoppolo. He's not bringing Tom Brady back.
And at the end of the day, I don't think Tom Brady wants to go somewhere that is cold at all. So I think
and again, if he goes somewhere, he's going to want a chance to win. And I don't know, we got a great chance to win now. I mean, the team can be competitive. Are they a Super Bowl contender even if they make the playoffs? No, they're not.
And that's a fact. I think that's one thing that the fans and the coaching staff is already like. The fans have to understand, and the coaching staff need to, make it be at least stay competitive, right? So that way you can build off of that. But
they got to rebuild this offensive line. Here's the deal: let's stick with the quarterback for 1 second. If I'm Belichick and the front office and Kraft and whoever's going to make the decisions, I'm not getting rid of it. I'm not giving up on either one of these guys just yet. I may have an open competition. I may bring a veteran in to compete with them, but I'm also going to, and I have no problem with Matt Patricia being the offensive coordinator, despite what I just said. He's a brilliant guy. If he can figure out defense, he can figure out offense, and he's gotten better as the season's gone on. Last night was not indicative of how they've improved offensively. The week before against Minnesota was a better indication, I think. But I'm bringing somebody in to mentor the quarterback, whoever it is, the quarterbacks, not Joe Judge. He's not a quarterback coach. Find a real guy who knows the position and can help these guys mature and get better. And the same thing I said about your Jets. They made a mistake getting rid of Beck or letting Beck walk away. You have to have that guy, not the offensive coordinator, just a guy who's in that room with the quarterbacks who knows what they're going through and can help them mature and get better.
It surprises me with so many issues in the quarterback position for so many teams that the Palmer brothers haven't got their hands in any NFL team except for training these kids to get into or on a team. That just blows my mind. Like, what is it that they haven't, or maybe they don't want to do that, but it's crazy. I mean, the opportunities are there on a lot of teams, man.
Yeah, will they make the playoffs? As I just said, I think there's the possibility still there. I think all those 3 games that I mentioned, Arizona and the Raiders on the road and the Bengals at home, they almost have to win.
They have to win the 3 for sure.
I don't see them beating Buffalo and I don't right now. I don't see them beating Miami, even though the game's at home. So they're going to lose those 2 games. That's 8 losses right there. So if I say 9 gets in, they got to win the other 3, and that's not a done deal, Alan. I mean, they could easily be out. They could easily look at team could finish 6-11. I don't know. So
I'm not a proponent for Mac Jones, but I don't feel like he's in a good position. He's on a bad team and at a bad time right now. So
what's interesting? You and I have been at loggerheads a few times about Zach Wilson, and these 2 teams are finding themselves almost in exactly the same situation with their starting quarterbacks picked in the same draft, because they're at a crossroads. Wilson, who's on the bench already, I don't think the Jets should give up on him, but he's got to grow up and mature. And if they can't do it here, they got to move on from him and find out who their quarterback is. I really don't have a problem with him going to Mike White here and finding out if he's their guy.
No, I mean,
as much as I've stuck up for Wilson, I can't defend. As soon as he said, 2 weeks ago, no, I wasn't. I didn't let my defense down. He's lost his job, and you can't say that and be a leader. You know how I feel about leaders, right?
He just doesn't. Even if he didn't, even
leaders don't do that.
He doesn't do his job right, bro. That's the thing.
Well, look, you got to play better. I get that, but also being the quarterback of an NFL team means you lead them both there and in the locker room and in front of the press, and you don't say, "Oh, it's not my fault."
Oh,
even his dad, I told you, even his dad's calling him up saying, "Dude,
smacking the side of the head.
What's wrong with you?" Anyway, he's immature. I mean, that's his biggest problem. We knew that. I mean, the Jets knew that, and I thought they would be able to nurture this guy along. And
I think the problem with these GMs that have come in for these teams is that they want to nurture and bring up somebody to make them their quarterback. And this is a metropolitan area with 2 teams, very competitive, that doesn't want to see. I don't want to see babies grow up in front of my eyes.
Yeah,
I want to see championships. And we already saw one quarterback. We raised one quarterback in Eli Manning, and we're not going to do it again, because even though Eli brought 2 Super Bowls, it came with a lot of turmoil and a lot of
you trade your 2 turmoil or your 2 Super Bowls for less turmoil?
No, not at all. But I'm just saying I don't want to see it again. I'm not trading nothing. I just don't want to see it again.
So you don't think Eli was a good quarterback?
I think Eli was a good quarterback in the NFL for as many years as he played, and he was there when we needed him to be there. Okay. But to compare him to his brother or anybody, or Dan Marino or anybody else, I'm
not doing that. I've always had this opinion that he's Jay Cutler with two fluke Super Bowl wins. That's my opinion. I'm not
even going to call him somebody else, because Eli's Eli. Like, you're not going to see any quarterback do what Eli Manning did for the New York Giants.
Not in those 2 games.
So
I'll tell you what. All I can say about Eli Manning is he played 2 great games on 2 Sundays against my team, and
again, and that was the Giants of my team, one of my teams, and I'm like, I don't like the whole
one of my teams. I hate that, man. Go ahead.
I don't like the tenure that he had, and the situation with Coughlin and all that. It ended terrible, and it's led to what we have now, which is.
Well, his situation wasn't with Coughlin. That was with who's the guy from Green Bay? McAdoo. Wasn't McAdoo the guy that benched him, right?
Yeah. They benched him for what? For a loss, and
they benched him for Daniel Jones, who is a better leader, by the way, than the guy we just talked about. Alan adds an LOL after this, but I think Daniel Jones is a leader. I think
Daniel Jones is just trying to keep a job. Like, he's doing everything he can not to mess up, which is
I think with what he's surrounded with there, and talent-wise, other than Saquon Barkley, I think he's done a great job, and he's done a great job leading this offense.
QB trying to keep his job. I'm looking for a QB to try to win championships, man.
I don't think he's trying to keep his job. They're in the playoffs today.
Yeah. But he's not winning the playoffs. He's not going to win a Super Bowl.
Gee, that NFC so bad. I wouldn't count him out. I mean, who's good there besides the Eagles? Who's good besides the Eagles? 49ers are getting better. Tampa Bay's 5-6 leading the North. Awful. The West is awful. You think Seattle is really that good? I don't.
Hey, it's a crapshoot right now, bro.
Puncher's chance they're going to have.
Everybody has an opportunity.
All you got to do is get in this tournament. You know, you got a chance to win. I mean, look at the Bengals last year, right? Did we think the Bengals really had a chance to make it to the Super Bowl? I don't think so. So, what else? What else in the NFL is on your mind here today? You got me all distracted with that whole Tanner question.
No, we just wanted, I wasn't trying to stick up for Mac Jones, but I did want to give him a little bit of skin in the game. Listen,
I'm sticking up for Mac Jones, but I'm saying it might be time to give him a little time to watch somebody else play.
The finances for the Patriots, which they don't have a problem with anyways, is you could keep him because he's young and you can get the 4 and a 5-year contract on him. But other than that, there has to be a bigger upside. And if you, like you said, if you don't bring in a coach to help this guy mature and get better, then what you gonna do?
Problem, he has the team name redacted, or formerly known as the Redskins. I like to say 2 of the next 3 games. They're playing really good football. Giants, listen, he's right. The Giants don't have an easy road to the playoffs. I agree.
They might beat the Giants this weekend.
I picked the team formerly known as the Redskins to win this division, as we know, and they're not going to do that. But I'd like.
We had them in the top 2 teams of the division, right?
I had the Redskins 1, and there's $20, and
Eagles 2.
The Giants second, yeah.
Oh, the Giants. You had the Giants second?
I did. I had all these teams either 9-8 or 8-9, all 4 of them, which could still happen, except probably the Eagles. It could still happen. The others, maybe not the Cowboys. But
since we're talking about some problems, there's a lot of problems going on right now in the World Cup, man.
Well, go ahead. Give us a World Cup update.
Yeah. So everybody knows Saturday the U.S. will be playing the Netherlands at 10 o'clock in the morning on Fox.
10 a.m. Oh, I got to remember that. Okay.
Yeah. And my team.
I got game day I got to watch at 10 o'clock. Jeez.
My team is the team I'm rooting for, that I usually root for, is the Netherlands. I have a story behind that.
Wait a minute. Okay. I think we
for another day. But the U.S. and the Netherlands have a lot of, they got a lot of.
Did you live there?
In the Netherlands? No, I lived in Europe. I lived in Germany.
Well, Netherlands is in Europe, isn't it?
Yeah, but so I watched the 90 World Cup in Italy, and I liked the Orange team, what they were doing. I learned about their history. I followed a few players, and that's the reason why I like the Netherlands. So, and then I moved to the U.S., and the U.S. have always been struggling to try to, be a stalwart in soccer, and it's a climb, but they'll get there eventually. Their women's team is great. But,
it was a nice win for the U.S. the other day. I'd like them to stop calling that injury an abdominal injury because, man, he didn't get hit in the abdomen. That's for sure. That was to me, and seeing the U.S. soccer team as much as they struggled. That's the first time I saw a goal set up like that, and it actually has so much, and it actually meant something. Yeah,
helped them qualify. So kudos to the U.S. team. They deserve it. They played well. They played okay and well enough to get to the next round.
So just so the audience knows, because we're not all big soccer fans. We watch it, every 4 years, and hopefully the USA can do something. They're in a knockout round now. If they lose Saturday, they're out. Correct?
They're out. That's it. Yeah. So they qualified out of their group to play the Netherlands, who qualified out of their group. So these 2 different groups are meeting up now, and so. I have the U.S. getting knocked out in the game 2-1, but that's my pick. So if
there's a tie, or do they go to penalty kicks or something?
Yeah, they can go to penalty kicks at this time. But I think the Netherlands will win the game before and not take it to penalties. I don't think they'll take it to penalties, but it could happen because the defense of the U.S. is. Designed to control the game as far as the ability for other teams to score on them. They're more defensive minded.
What about the rest of the groups? I mean, there's been some upsets already.
All right, so I'm going to mention the huge major upsets right now would be Germany, who is a stalwart in soccer.
Yeah,
struggled. Now I follow them because I used to live there, and My brother follows them, and I will say this: they've had issues before. Like they won the World Cup in 2014, but they've had issues in transitioning from players and moving away from players. And this team that they had go to the World Cup this year, I feel like we're a little bit passive. They have a lot of good players on that team. They just they don't have an attacking style anyway. They're very defined. They work off of defense and they move the ball around a lot. So they've always been a little bit passive, but I think that their coaching style and their team has got away from them as far as the teams now are more aggressive and more they have more offense. So I think their actual style backfired on them with the players that they had on the team. And I'm not going to say that they have any one player is better than another player. If you see the roster, Germany's roster against the world's roster, their players are ranked fairly high, and they should have been or should be in the next round. But it's just I think it's more of a coaching perspective, and then also in the games they were not aggressive at all. So and they're getting bashed by their own people in the media in Germany. So the New York Times has a great article about Germany's problems and how they qualified that came out last month before the World Cup. So I if you guys have a chance to read the New York Times articles about Germany's team. Another team that struggled, they're one of the best teams coming out of Europe, Belgium.
I was going to ask you about that.
They're going to lose they already lose their coach, right? And he's also being he was also the director of their actual international team, soccer team. So they're going to lose the coach and the director of that soccer team. So they're going to be going through a lot of changes. Same thing with Germany almost, where they had a lot of good players. They have more of an attacking style, but they didn't really attack much of the teams that they played against. There was very little goal scoring, and I'm going to mention, and I'm going to get back to that in a minute. And then third team that people thought or were kind of confused about not qualifying is Mexico. Mexico has a coach who is not from Mexico, so they've even played a qualifying game with him not at the helm at the actual game. He had like assistants coaching the game. Those kind of things, it doesn't bring continuity. It doesn't bring any kind of like motivation. So I feel like he had a lot of missteps during the qualification, even though they made the World Cup. And the team that they had, there was even questions about 3 or 4 players that should have been on the squad that weren't on the squad. They're going through a transition as well. We're taking some older players out and trying to get in some youth. And they're going to be in the World Cup next 2026 because the U.S., Canada, and Mexico will be hosting it. So a lot of these teams have a lot of internal problems, a lot of problems with these players. But the best thing about what's going on now in the World Cup is the youth movement that's coming through a lot of these smaller nations, and that they're actually playing up to the competition, which is why you see teams like Germany, Belgium, and Mexico out. One of the biggest problems that I feel that the World Cup has today that's going on in the tournament is the scoring. And I believe that's because it's played so late, and a lot of these guys who are at the top in the world for their team, the players, they're kind of tired. They look kind of tired, and the game looks kind of slow. It drags a little bit, and I feel like that's one of the major reasons why let's see some of these teams who are usually more aggressive, you see more speed in the game are it's lacking. So
you talked about players being chosen for teams. Is this like, I mean, the WBC in baseball, you have to be a citizen of that country to play on the team. That isn't the case here, though, right? I'm like, for instance, the reason I'm asking is I think Ronaldo, if I'm not mistaken, signed this huge contract with Saudi Arabia. Is that right? Did I hear that right?
No. Also, like they can play on different teams, on club teams, so they can move around international.
Well, let's just say Ronaldo signed with Saudi Arabia. In 4 years, he can play for the Saudi Arabian team in the World Cup.
I didn't think that I heard that.
I heard something, and I was just looking here. I don't see it now.
Yeah. So So the ability to play on the national team,
Yeah,
you're right. It's kind of like the baseball World Cup, but
you have to be a citizen
you have to
or
be a
you're
citizen,
born there.
right? So a lot of these guys who the U.S. have, there's a few guys that are from they're international players that have come here. They either have gotten citizenship or they have family, a parent that is from the U.S. One of the best players on the U.S. team, his mother is from the Netherlands. He was born in the Netherlands. He played on the Ajax team in the Netherlands, the first division, until he was like, well, he's been playing there for a while, but then he's come over here as a player for the national team. He's got the opportunity to play because his father is a U.S. citizen. So, like, he's one of the players for example. So,
well, maybe the U.S. should hire Ted Lasso to be the coach, and they do better. And what I'd like to see, one of the reasons I asked the last question is I wondered if they could actually go out and sign Roy Kent to play on the team, because Roy Kent's my favorite soccer player of all time, even though he's not. I know he's not a real soccer player. Do you watch the show?
Yeah, I watch the show. It's a great show. If you guys have an opportunity and want to watch something funny, and learn a little bit about soccer, not a lot, you can watch Lasso.
Learn a little.
You can learn a little. You learn. You know what I like about Lasso though is it gives you a good insight on how these English Premiership teams, how these English
Up and down.
how the business goes about. How the business is about, and also the relegation and how they're trying to stay away from being relegated and things like that. So it gives you a good, like, a little bit of information there. And the team is actually based off a team. The story is that, because that's not a real team. So, but
I didn't think so.
One of the smaller teams in that area. So.
I did fall in love with Roy Kent, though. And at the time, Jeopardy was looking for a new host. And I said, I think Roy Kent should be the host of Jeopardy. And he should be on every pregame show because he's just awesome.
I like his forward face. And then he's just like, he uses words and he's just like buzz off, like, don't talk to me.
I'm not going to repeat some of the language, but
I like his niece, though. His niece is great.
When he had to go get his niece out of trouble in school was hilarious when she got in trouble for swearing. And the teacher asked him, do you have any idea where she might have got this from? And he goes, F no.
He's got a jar. If you guys don't know, a little tidbit, he's got a little swear jar and a little thing going with his niece that he took care of. And she
great show.
Doesn't call him out. It's
I
great.
did hear season 3 was going to be the last one. That's a little disappointing, but hopefully we'll see it soon.
Yeah, so that's a little bit about what's going on in the World Cup scene.
One last thing before we go, because Alan brought up Japan beat Spain. That's huge. Japan got to be one of the bigger surprises right now, wouldn't they, in this World Cup?
Yeah, Japan and Morocco, two of the surprises in this World Cup. But you know what? Japan has a league that has been bringing in players from Brazil and from Holland. I mean, from the Netherlands, and a lot of other places. Well, some of these older athletes, soccer players, they retire playing a few years in Japan. So their league has been, up and coming for a long time. It's good to see some of these smaller countries, coming up. So
yeah, we'll see some new faces for sure as this tournament winds down. Before we get done here, let's pivot a little bit to baseball. I mean, I mentioned last week, I don't know if I mentioned it here, but I've mentioned a few of my shows that before Aaron Judge started his world tour of visiting teams, the Yankees had made an offer to him, but we did not know what it was. Now we know what it was or is. There is an offer in front of Aaron Judge for 8 years and $300 million. Question is, again, I'm not surprised the Yankees leaked this because, when he says no, they want him to look bad like they did in the spring. I don't think that's going to get it done. I really don't think because now the other teams know the Mets, the Dodgers got as deep a pockets as the Yankees, but I don't think he's worth as much to the Giants, the Dodgers, even the Mets. He's not worth as much to those teams as he is to the Yankees. Okay, so the value is only there if when he plays and what happens after he plays, right? That's where anything for any kind of player you get, no matter what the Mets went out and seeked out Jason Bay at the prime of his career, and Let's not compare Jason Bay to Aaron Judge. God.
I'm just saying, I'm not comparing him. I'm saying that they seeked him out at a prime when he was at the prime of his career, and it didn't work out for him. So, like, what your value is will be seen by the team while you play, and then also after right? So this pre-made this $300 million. I mean, I feel like the Giants and the Angels could easily pay more than that. But I feel, he's got a big decision to make, though. He's going to get that kind of money, but what is his taxes going to look like?
Well, so you lose half of it, you got $150 million. I think you'll be fine. I don't think he's going to starve because of
tax. Half of it for sure if he stayed in New York or California.
No, he's probably better off signing anywhere but New York and California when it comes to taxes. That's for sure. But
I don't understand why does he go to Tampa Bay?
Yeah,
well,
he lives there,
like Tom Brady.
He lives there. But again, Tampa Bay's not signing him for 8 years, $300 million either. How are they going to pay him?
Just give him the stadium rights. Aaron Judge Stadium.
Yeah, maybe that's a good point. I don't know. I still think the Yankees have to bring him back because I think the Yankees make sense. Now, this is a pretty good offer. I'm not saying this is a bad offer by any means. I just don't think this is the one that gets it done. I think somebody's going to come in, maybe Steve Cohen, and say, I'll give you $10 million or 10 years, sorry. $380 million, and the Yankees are going to have to go to 400. They might.
I don't understand why fans and you feel like the Yankees have to do this. What the Yankees need to do is focus on making these moves. You guys got a better team on the field next year. They're already talking about, Gleyber Torres is already on the trading block for sure. I don't think he'll be back.
That's fine. I don't have a problem with
that. Which is okay. He's past the youth project that they had anyways.
He's hit his ceiling, and I know what I'm getting out of him. It's okay if he stays. It's okay if he goes.
Now, all these two guys that they talked about why they didn't make any moves last year, they're thinking about moving them now?
They should not be.
Well, they're not going to keep both of them.
Well, they could. There's no reason they can't.
They could, and you're exactly right. You're making a valid point. But you said Valapo and this other guy, Peraza. You said that was your future, and now you're thinking about moving them.
I think it'd be
what I'm saying is what all.
I haven't seen much talk of them moving them. By the way, I don't know where that comes from, but
there's been talks of making trades, getting because they want Rondon. I don't know why.
Well, he's a free agent. They can sign him without giving up a body. So, if I'm going to make a trade Gleyber. I'm going to trade Gleyber now because now I'm taking a page out of your book, but I'm a year later, so I'm not really admitting I was wrong. I don't think those kids were ready last year. Now it's time to find out if they're ready. Now it's time. They've done.
You have to keep them and play them, man.
No, they need to play. And you find out. One of them could be your shortstop. One could be your second baseman for all I know. For the next 12 years, it's possible. And it might be time to find out if they dive in, they sign a shortstop because that's where the really good free agents are really. Then they've kind of said, well, last year, forget about what we said last year because last year it was we played Kiner Falefa as a placeholder for one of these kids. We said that. They said that. That's why they didn't sign Correa or they didn't sign Story, which was probably a good thing. But these are four really good players available at shortstop now. If the Yankees dive in, this is what the Yankees do all the time.
The Mets were notorious for doing that. Having all these young players go. They let go Jeff Kent. They let go Turner. They let go a lot of guys that did good in other places. So
Bobby Bonilla, funny.
Yeah, that's what every player should do. I don't understand these guys and their agents, man.
Because they want their money now and they want it all guaranteed. Well, Bobby's money was guaranteed.
That was like one of the best deals ever made for a player.
Doesn't it end this decade sometime?
2025?
What's he going to do when that $1 million a year is gone? Rondon's going to Texas. Yeah, well, again, we talked about that. Your team's not ready to be signed on another big free agent when you're not ready to win yet. Anyway, what else you got, Carlos? We got 1 minute. Actually, why don't we wrap it up here? Anything you want to leave the fans with as we wrap it up here today?
No, just enjoy this sports weekend. It's going on right now. So, everybody enjoy your weekend and have fun.
Lots of great football tonight and tomorrow. And we got the NFL Sunday and the World Cup. Go root for the USA. Let's be ugly Americans. We know how to do it better than anybody. Let's do it. Have a great weekend, guys. We'll see you next week here with Are You Serious? And I'll see you Sunday with a Stream of Consciousness show. We'll see you later. Keith Engel for Carlos, the Mad New Yorker. Have a great weekend.